Hi there, welcome back. In this lesson, I'd like to speak more about mapping the prospect's journey. This is how we can create a sequence of useful content that will accompany our prospect into not only better understanding how to solve their problems, but also earn a position where we can help them do that. So I call this lesson Mapping the Prospect's Journey. And let's have a look at what we're going to be covering today. Well, first of all, we're going to be covering next generation consultative selling and what that means in the digital era, the opportunity of becoming your prospect's guide, understanding and mapping the prospect's journey. Finally, we're going to look at some of the frequent posed objections that I come across. And I'd like to tackle them head on and give you a bit more of a perspective on why this approach really makes so much sense. All right. So consultative selling is really nothing new. Okay, we've been speaking about this for eons. It's really the opposite of the old school thinking where our sales agenda comes first and where sales is a zero-sum game. We win, and often we win at we don't add any value to the customer, but we get the business. So this is really about, and I think I don't have to convince you that this is important, but this is taking consultative selling by focusing on our prospect's agenda first, and then benefiting from that by providing them with solutions. Consultative selling used to be a lot of work because you'd basically have to have a very intense and interactive relationship with your customers. And thanks to technology, that is now a lot easier. You can actually scale this up a lot. So it's really not about our agenda, but all about the prospect's challenge. And the first thing we have to do when we want to create what I call the auto funnels, or we want to create a sequence that can help us win business, is we've really got to understand what our prospect's world is all about and what challenges they face. So in the auto funnels process, this is where it starts. This is step one effectively. So this is understanding and mapping out the prospect's journey. And we're going to do that by really getting deep into the frequent asked questions. Now, what this effectively means is that we're going to be the guide on the prospect's journey. And the reason why we're going to be on that journey with them is essentially to earn their trust. And I put up a picture of Crocodile Dundee because I thought it was a great example of you would probably hire and follow this man into the wilderness. And so you want to be your investor's Crocodile Dundee. You want to make sure that they can feel very safe with you when they venture into a new opportunity. And the prospect world often looks very much like this. And again, my experience in investments is pretty much like this, but I think anytime a prospect has to go out and do something new and spend a part of his budget on a service or a product, these are the things that are running through his mind. So it's all about risk, really, and that's career risk, it's reputation risk, it's operational risk, it's monetary risk, are they making the right investment, and then obviously also regulatory, they're going to get in trouble because of this. And the thing about the journey that it's a step-by-step learning process. And what this journey really looks like is it starts with a challenge, a discovery, a consideration, and a decision. Let's look a bit deeper into this journey and find out what exactly these steps are made of. So it starts with a challenge, and the challenge is really all about a problem that needs solving. And this is when the prospect seeks guidance on what to do about a problem. It could be a problem, or maybe they just feel that they have to get into something that their competitors are into. If it's in the investment world, it's probably because they have to expand their portfolio to further diversify, or tap into new sources of return that other investors are already benefiting from. It's really always about companies not only keeping their customers happy, but staying ahead in the league. So it's really usually it's about catching up with the competition. And our role in this phase is really that if we can acknowledge the problem, we can build kinship with the prospect. When I mean acknowledge the problem, it means that we communicate out into the open where the prospect can say like, hey, I feel exactly like this. They seem to understand my problem. That's really all you have to do at this phase. Then we move into the discovery phase, and this is when the prospect starts losing the status quo and is starting to commit to change. And so the prospect clearly grasps the fact or understands the fact now that change has to be made. And our role in this part of the journey is to help that prospect understand what the alternatives are, and we have to offer them with insights and knowledge to help them become more educated about it. Which takes us to the next step of the journey, which is the consideration phase. And this is where the prospect is now really exploring solutions and gathering knowledge. They're doing their research and they're willing to learn. They want to make sure they're making the right decision. And our role here at this phase is where we are there to answer all the frequent asked questions that really reflect the customer research. Now, because we've been there before many times, we sort of know what those questions are. We sort of know what the evolution curve or the learning curve of a prospect exactly looks like. So we're going to start joining the prospects team by providing a lot of value. And then finally, we have a decision phase. And this is really, I think, often the most misunderstood phase of them all. Because this is where the prospect is preparing the case for a solution. But the most important part of this phase is that your prospect or the people that you have been dealing with, they never take that decision alone. They need to convince others. And this is where we step in to make it easy for the prospect to convince others. For example, we make videos that can be shared with insightful videos that can be shared. We help them by providing them with checklists or convince your boss materials, things like that. So now we're totally on the prospects team and we're helping our prospect win the approval to do what this prospect initially set out to do. Okay, does that make sense? And the most important part of designing that journey sequence is about frequent ask questions or clients. So what we have to do is, out of those frequent asked questions, we have to create useful content that answers your prospect's most important and burning questions. And we need to win their trust by demonstrating that we care and understand and have a solution for what they're trying to solve. And somehow we already do this. Somehow we already are very much aware of what the frequent asked questions of our prospects are. The reason is because we all have pitch books, we all have presentations. And a presentation is a living document. You're continuously updating it because of your experience and the questions you get. So this is pretty much your first step, is to really almost tear out page by page and turn each page into a piece of content. That's a simple way to do it. You can get a little bit more sophisticated about it and make it even better. The thing that drives me crazy is still some people who show up with a pitch book and then insist on, let's go through this whole pitch book in half an hour's time. Honestly, that is not helpful for anybody. It's not, especially not for the prospect, and even less for you. So if you make useful content and you start serving that to your prospect, if the content is really on target with the journey, you'll be amazed at how high your open rates will be. Again, you've seen this slide before, but this is again a snapshot from my list. And just look at those open rates. It's 46%, 45%, 49%. These are good rates because I put a lot of thought into what my prospect acquisition journey actually looks like. So I'm helping them along their journey. And that's why I'm gaining trust. So when they see an email from me, my goal is that most likely to you know what, I'm going to make time for this. I'm actually going to consume this, right? Now, when there's change, there's always resistance, right? So these are the frequently posed objections. Let's look at these. There's a few of them that keep coming back, and those are the ones that I've listed. So first of all, technology can't replace personal relationships. Well, I don't know. Really? This is a pure pushback type of opinion, because did you know that 1/3 of recently married couples met online and they're more satisfied and less likely to split up? This is Forbes reporting that, but you're seeing that all over the place. The thing is, us humans will always use technology to become more social. That's the only reason why you can explain why there's almost 2 billion people on Facebook after only 7 years. So I don't think it's true. I think technology is actually a vehicle that can allow us to have far more personal relationships. And instead of really having to get together in personal time, if you understand how to serve a useful and insightful content, you will wind up building a relationship. I mean, you're watching a video right now, you're seeing me on a screen. Somehow you're getting familiar with me. Next, I'm not good with technology. Oh man, I hear this all day long, and it's not the people who provide apps like mailing software or even I mean, look at your phone. The apps on there, are they difficult to use? Of course not. So technology providers have gotten have gotten ahead of you. They've made things very simple to use, and all the technologies that I use in my AutoFunnels process are very simple. So delete this from your mind. This is not an excuse. Technology is simpler than ever to use. My company doesn't use this. Now this is another one that a lot of people are just afraid of going out and doing something crazy and then getting caught by taking that leap and it doesn't work or whatever. This is not about your company, this is about you. This is about you using these systems. You can design your own personal systems to become more efficient. You don't have to go and convince your CEO or your managing director or your marketing people. The tools that I'm going to show you, you can use yourself and you can become more efficient at it. So it's not about your company buying in or not, it's really about you buying in and learning how to use it. Okay? This will make more sense later. And then often I hear, but what about the competition? Well, I have news for you. The competition simply can't be you. That's why I chose this picture. I mean, this is not Batman, although he's dressed as Batman. Your business is pretty much unique because, first of all, it has you in it and the people who you work with, or the key characters of your business, they are unique. And so effectively, and so is your ability to have a relationship with other people. That's also unique. What people worry about is like, will the competition, if we post all our insights online, are they going to steal from us? Well, if you think you can keep your clients away from your competitors, you may be up for a rude awakening. But what you can do is you can't keep them away from your competitors by building that special relationship, by being useful. You can sort of become the gatekeeper of your prospect. So think about that for a moment. And then regulations. Regulations comes up all the time. Regulations are there for a purpose. They just make sure that we don't get in trouble or get other people in trouble. Follow the rules. Again, from the investment world, if regulations say that you can't go out and promote investments openly, then don't. But speak about all the other things that matter. So it's whatever your regulations say, follow those rules. But there's always something to speak about, and that's usually if you speak about the problem that your product or service solves, you have more than enough to speak about. And in fact, regulations will embrace the fact that you are educating your prospects. So that's really the perspective you have to adopt. If you're fulfilling a useful role, regulators will not only leave you alone, they will embrace you. Make sense? That's it. Let's leave it at that. The summary is, what next generation consultative selling means. That was easy. We all understand that. We have an opportunity to become the prospect's guide, understanding and mapping the prospect's journey, and then overcoming frequent objections. So now we know what we can achieve with the system, and in the next lesson, we're actually going to go and sequence this follow-up. We're going to look at what this effectively looks like, how this technology works and what it's made of. All right. Thanks again for watching. Any questions, email me. That's what I'm there for.